Welcome to another Headwater Sage episode. We are super excited to introduce our next guest. This is Morgan Hunter. I'm just going to just give a brief description of
Yeah.
what you do. So we have a somatic practitioner and owner and provider at, is it Satnam?
Satnam grounding.
Satnam grounding.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. She's a professional education certifications include her BBA from the University of Wisconsin Whitewater, management and communication professional, writing and communications and publishing.
Yes.
Okay. A grant writer
Yep.
for the National Grant Writing Collective,
Yep.
an editor,
Yep.
200-hour yoga instructor.
Yep.
And you got that through.
I went to Dragonfly to complete it, but I had started my 200-hour multiple times.
Oh,
and
girl, I get
then-
it. Same.
So I finally completed it.
Wonderful.
On Dragonfly.
A mind body somatic healer,
Yep.
an integrative somatic practitioner,
Yep.
and a level 2 sound healer.
Yes.
Yes. So welcome. We're very, very, very blessed to have you on our
Thank you.
podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and do a session with us.
Absolutely.
So you have a wonderful story, and I really would love to just do an organic conversation with you of just your background. What did you go through to become the person that you are today?
Ugh,
So
that's a big question.
I know, right? So what about where we start? Like maybe we start with like where did the Satnam grounding come from? And maybe that can be our catalyst there, and you can
Yeah.
kind of grow off of that or just go off of that.
Absolutely. So, I feel like it's all just a culmination. How all of our lives go, right? We start at one point and we end up where we go. So Satnam grounding, I think as I'm here now, and I only opened in what was it, April, so I'm not even a year in, but I feel like I've been doing this all my life. This is the same work that I've been doing all my life. I just actualized it into a business. So, yeah, yoga, it's where it started, honestly. My mom had knee issues when I was a kid, so I remember her always trying to work on chair yoga, and then she would do it for a while. She would stop doing it. She'd have to have surgery and then PT, and then she'd do it again. And so I'd get tired of her having to continually go through this stuff. And so we started just doing that together, and I started learning other forms of yoga. And by the time I was in college, that's when I started studying more in depth, that I started learning the philosophies. I took a bunch of yoga classes in college because I was having actually a dispute with my advisor. She kept telling me I didn't have enough physical education credits. And I was like, I have taken like 12 yoga classes through this university. How in the world do I not have?
No kidding.
And it turned out that her record wasn't doing something. So I took way more than I needed to. I actually could have used it as a minor.
Oh, wow.
But and it was and I don't remember the amount of hours that it totaled to, but they told me that if I took one more or two more things, that then I could have my certification in it. And I remember being like 22 and going, nah, I'll do that later. That was the wrong choice. But anyway, so yoga for me, it was a very energetic thing. It was my grounding. I had a lot of, like as anybody, we have our traumas as as children, and the way that we've grown through those. I had a lot of issues as a kid. I was the gothic girl in high school. I actually
The beautiful gothic girl in high school, by the way. Yeah.
and I fell in with a crowd of people where I was drinking every single day my senior year, and then I spiraled into a lot of other addictions for a couple of years. I had two OWIs before I turned 21, and I remember having like this big jarring awakening one day. Actually, I was not sober by any means, and I heard my own voice saying, Morgan, you either live and die this way, or you change entirely and go all in on your life.
Wow.
And so I did that. and I stopped drinking entirely for a while. And then I social drank throughout my 20s a little bit here and there, but yoga was my grounding. Yoga was where I went to. It was my home for all intents and purposes.
Mm.
And so then I just kind of weaved it in through multiple other layers and chapters of life. And then I had my daughter in January of 2020, and then the pandemic happened and life did a weird spiral of all kinds of things. I think the entire collective can agree with that. And I don't know, I just felt this pull to come back into it. I felt like I had deviated, felt, very into 3D life and my job and those identities, and I just felt this pull back into it. So I hunkered down, I completed my certification, and I started teaching right away. And there was a moment I had a client in a child's pose, and I was co-regulating breathing with her. I was sitting with her, I was rubbing her back, and I think I must have just pressed just a little bit deeper on her sacral area. And I felt just a little shift. It wasn't a pop, it wasn't a jarring. And she just started crying.
Mm.
And I panicked and was like, oh no, I hurt her. And are you okay? I had the rest of class and other people. But she kind of like waved me off. She was like, I'm fine, it's okay. Kept an eye on her. And she approached me after class and she said, I don't know what happened in there. I'm so sorry that I was crying. I felt like something left my body. And so I started reading and I
Yes.
started diving into that, that, wormhole. And I fell into quantum physics and I fell into it like in the most beautiful way. And all of the doors just started opening. Like all the doors just started opening. Where it was like other studios, other holistic people, and like I noticed my entire energy shifted in my being, and I realized that's how it happens. That's how this all happens. My frequency changed, and I was being met where I was shifting to,
Mm.
where I felt like I spent all of my 20s trying to match the other energy. Like I was the one that was not fitting and trying, like applying for jobs and why wasn't I getting this and why wasn't, why weren't these doors opening? And I had questioned so many things. And as soon as I aligned fully with myself, everything just beautifully opened. So somatic work, like I said, just flawlessly opened. I started talking about this somatic stuff that I was reading about, the certifications that I was getting, and a woman overheard me in class and she was like, why aren't you doing this? Why isn't this a
Mm.
business? I'm like, well, maybe one day, I don't know. She said, well, I have a lease space and I'd be willing to negotiate some terms with you on it. And it just, like all these doors just
Blossomed
opened
after that. I
and
love
it
it.
was beautiful. So I
Oh,
just opened and it happened. And yeah.
that is beautiful. I
Mhm.
love that. And so much of that, like what you were talking about, like with the alignment, like if we all just did that work where we, learned about ourselves and we followed that path of least resistance and the excitement, right? All of us can be in this alignment. And when you said quantum physics, my husband would like agree. Like I have book after book after book on quantum physics. And it was after my own like awakening that I was so drawn to quantum physics and I started reading and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the science of spirituality. Like this is what it is. And it's phenomenal stuff. And it's
Yes.
really, really, really wonderful. So tell me about, or tell our listeners too.
Yeah.
You've told me about this, but tell me about, or tell us about your travel experience, like where
Oh,
you
yeah.
went, and your what you learned. And I know, like we say, Morgan Hunter, she's got this certification and certification. We want to know a little bit more, like deeper
Yeah.
about you. Like, what
A
did you
little
learn?
breadth.
Yeah, yeah. So we can go into that a little bit.
Yes. So, chapters of life, oh my goodness, they just blow me away. And I'm so grateful for each and every single one, the dark ones, the light ones, every one. That one in particular is I don't know if, as I look across my timeline, it was like a bright light in the middle. Um, so my cousin had been teaching there in Micronesia. I was a teacher in Chuuk State in the federal states of Micronesia. They are under compact of free association with the US. So people can go there and work and teach, not really under a green card or anything, but you're also not really a citizen. And then they can come here and work and teach and work for our military and do certain things without a green card. And they're not quite exactly citizens either, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just kind of free association. And they, under that same compact, there is a clause that the US can send test products there. The problem being that they don't take those test products out. The island I was on was 1 mile across and 7 miles long. So you're shipping in all these test products, weird flavors of Coca-Cola, weird flavors of things and electronics and dyes and all kinds of weird things. And then they don't take them out. So there's like refrigerators sticking up out of the water and cars and garbage everywhere. Like it was a routine thing to be out in the ocean swimming in the morning and just like garbage float past you.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so my cousin had been teaching there for I think 5 years, and I had just graduated college at that point with my bachelor's, young and eager to do some form of journalism, which is mostly what I had studied with all of those vast credentials. And there was just a lot of minors and majors and emphasis because I loved learning and I just wanted to take it all in. Anyway, so he I'd been applying for jobs for months, like I said, trying to align with that energy, thinking if I make myself vulnerable, then, I'll be seen. But he reached out and said that they had some teachers that they had to fire and they needed somebody now to teach literature, and that the principal there was more than willing to set up all this stuff for me if I wanted to teach a journalism class and if I wanted to start up a campus newspaper and a bunch of other things like that. So I think it was like 24 or 48 hours that I had to decide if I was getting on a plane in 2 weeks to go and do this thing. And I reached out to my best friend, Andrew Denman, little shout out, I love him. And I said, "Hey, talk me through this. What do I do?" And we were just driving around and talking about it. And then he was like, "How many teachers do they need?" And I said, "Well, they need 2 teachers. They need someone to teach physics." And he had graduated as well. He was not doing a whole lot with his degree yet, and just talked himself into it. He was like, "Yeah, we're going. I'm going to teach physics, and you're going to teach journalism. This is what we're doing." So we went.
Oh my gosh.
It was lovely though. This island, so where I was, the building that we taught out of, it was a boarding school for high schoolers. It was unique for that whole area in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, because they were preparing students to come to college in the US. So it was like this pass to get in. So there were other schools, other islands. Sorry, my head, and no hair to hold it up. It's sliding. These students come from all over that whole area, from other states within the federal states of Micronesia. And I think we had some students that were like from the Marshall Islands, from Thailand maybe, but that whole area over there. And yes, the building was a Japanese communications building during World War II. So it had an insane energy because there was a lot of battle there with the indigenous people when the Japanese came in, but also there had been combat there. There were giant steel doors that closed over the windows, and there were bullet holes in them. There was like a blown out part of certain buildings from where bombs were dropped.
Wow.
The whole lagoon on a clear day, you could see, when the waves were level, all these World War II ships like sunk in. That's kind of the draw, that it's a big World War II shipwreck diving experience. That's the only form of tourism that they get. But yeah, there was a lot of history, and
What did you feel like with the energy there? Like, was it super heavy for you? Because you're very intuitive.
It was hard to distinguish,
Mm,
much like the natives that we have here. They call it like a spirit wound
mm,
after the takeover, and it's a soul level wound. We talk about natives and their fire water. We talk about all of those things like almost in a judgment form. And I had been hyper aware of that growing up in this area. I mean, we just generally we're so close to, the
mm,
Ho Chunk land and everything. I had known a lot about spirit wound. So I tried to really discern the energies that I was feeling. What was that World War II energy from that? I don't even remember how many years they inhabited, but it was a one-time instance energy wound. But then there's a lot of energy wounds just being under the Compact Free Association with the US. Since then, like I said, sending in all these test products, and we're just like disconnecting them from their native culture still. So I
mm.
felt like there was a couple of different layers of energy that was severed. So I tried to stay in tune with what exactly I was feeling, but there were some areas that I remember going to and not really liking it and trying to, like the locker rooms in particular, not spending much time in there. Granted, it was the bathroom that was right across from my office, but I did, so I would use it, but I would go quickly and come back out as fast as I
Mm.
could. So some areas, but also I tried to focus more on their resilience. Like the energy of those people, I have it so vividly in my mind, just walking through like the villages and seeing these people where they've had typhoon as well. They've had a lot of devastation. Um, so like walking through and there's all these buildings that are half collapsed and just an upside down car sitting there and things like this. And just seeing like this, I see this one woman just sitting on top of this car and she's just peeling a fruit and she's happy and she's singing at the top of her lungs and the kids are dancing around her. And like I try to stay with that
Mm.
energy the most, the resilience, that piece. Like we had drought for 4 months and they don't have desalination, so water was extremely scarce. We were ladle bathing
Wow.
and it was scary. But then the moment that it started raining, and the entire island was singing.
Oh, wow.
Like everyone came out into the streets and was dancing and singing, and oh my goodness, just phenomenal. It's just a different pace of life too. So I tried to stay with that energy a lot more, but there was so many points when seeing like a very almost emaciated child like wandering around by himself in a village and like this empathetic
Yeah.
piece that would, but then I focus, then you see all these happy. So I tried to stay with that part. Yeah.
And what do you think you took from that experience for yourself, like to continue on your own journey and your own path? Like, what do you, I mean, obviously, so many things, right?
I feel like everything,
Yeah. Okay.
like everything. I remember my last couple weeks there, I was really intentional. I wanted to remember the, and I can see it every time I close my eyes. It worked. I would stare at certain plants and certain areas because I wanted to remember every detail of the foliage. I wanted to remember every detail of certain people's faces, and I wanted it all to come with me, and it did. Yeah, everything. I mean, I got to be a part of some really phenomenal things. There was a Earth Council there, so we pulled in some people from other areas that had done like successful desalination programs and like learning how to farm different kinds of bananas and things like that. We pulled in people from all over and did this big Earth Week event. And so we picked up trash from all over the island. So, I mean, I took all of those things. I also, in my journalism class, I got the opportunity to have a photojournalist come in, and he was an amazing, I was starry-eyed looking at him. His name's Ben Bohane. He had spent a few years in Papua New Guinea, and he was actually the first person outside of Papua New Guinea to be let in so many years, because
Mm.
Papua New Guinea had been under civil war for a long time, and they're very indigenous. And he's a photojournalist. He documented all this stuff, and as after he had finished his documentary, he was coming through a couple of islands, and he came and he spoke to my journalism class, and I sat with him afterwards for a long time. Actually, I think it was like 5 hours talking with him. I wanted to know the things that he had seen and the energy piece, and just, yeah, I had some amazing experiences while I was there, and I wanted to intentionally absorb it. I remember, like, I intentionally took that night sitting up talking with this man, like, I wanted to take all of it with me, and I intentionally like memorized the lines of his face so that I could take it
And how
in
old were
any
you?
way that I could. I was 20. Did I just turn 24? I got back like a week before my birthday, and I can't remember if I turned 24 then or if I already was 24.
Well,
But
for
yeah,
you to be
about there.
so young and to know like that you wanted to take all of those details in and to feel that energy and to remember everything. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I remember like at 24, I was pregnant and
Really?
like,
Yeah.
just living my life that way. Like, and so that's just, it's so inspiring to me for someone to be so young and to have the experiences that you have had, at such a young age, and to know that you want to take that all in and to keep that for forever. It's so beautiful.
Absolutely.
So for our listeners, can you explain like what is somatic work and well, I mean, like we have, so you are a partner with Blake's Mindful Memorial Foundation, so
Yep.
Blake's Tin Man Foundation, and so with that, we have people get grants, they can come see you. And so when we talk about the somatic work, when we do our interviews with our grant recipients,
Hmm.
we just want to explain and have an understanding of what is that and how can it help them. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and it's a different approach. I mean, all of holistic health, we're talking about all these different pieces. Holistic meaning whole self, right? So, we're talking about mind, we're talking about body, and I feel like somatic is an absolutely vital piece of the whole person. So, somatics ultimately just means anything pertaining to the body. But when that word first started being used in this sort of capacity was after, I feel like I'm referring world wars a lot. I'm gonna clear that energy out. But it was after the First World War. We were calling it shell shock at the time. Now what we know is PTSD. And, but they sent all these shell shock people to counselors, fix them.
Mm.
And counselors were getting really frustrated. Like they were resisting treatment. No, they weren't breaking through to these people. So after some brain scans, they basically found that they weren't resisting treatment. The neurons in their brain weren't even lighting up to make that connection. We can see that. I'm sure. I feel like I can see that visual of like what the neurons look like. They start to light up like they're going to make a connection. And whether or not they do, they still at least light up like you're trying. They weren't even lighting up
Mm.
in these scans. They were doing nothing, like they were
Interesting.
fried, like they were completely burnt. So they started calling it a somaticization of a mental phenomenon that they were experiencing physical symptoms. And so that's kind of when it started being used in this sense. And it started getting used more and more for things that we experience in our mind and the ways that our bodies store or react or embody that mental thing, trauma, whatever that is. So, somatic work now, there was a big wave of it more recently. And I think it's everything. I
Mm.
use I use a lot of yoga philosophy in it. I refer to the chakra system, the nadi channels, and the beautiful thing is that the nadi channels, the chakra system lines up perfectly with the nervous system. So depending upon what clients I have, sometimes I'll talk a little bit more about the scientific nervous system aspect. Sometimes I'll talk more about the energetic things that are happening. But it is. So I use this reference a lot when I give my like elevator speech because I drove the Beltline for rush hour for a lot of years. And so imagine, you're driving the Beltline and you it's tense. I call it the Autobahn a lot of the times
Yeah.
because people just
Yeah.
let go all over the place. And so you're driving and you can feel that your jaw's tensed, your knuckles are tense, you're clenching like everywhere. You're just trying to get through this. And then you get to where you're going and you're like, oh, you made it there for a minute. You're like, okay. And then you get out and go about your day. Let's say after X amount of months, whatever, a year of doing this every day, you start having this like shoulder pain. Like, what in the world is happening? Like, I don't know, this is fine. You go and get some scans, and a lot of the times, what a lot of doctors will say is it's, not nothing showing up, but keep an eye on it. That's a big thing here. Keep an eye on it. So then you're like, okay, obviously I'm fine. It's just pain and got to live with. And then a couple months, years, whatever later, you go back and oh, now it's a huge problem. There's a tumor there, or there's significant loss of cartilage or arthritis or whatever that is. This is a somaticization because even though you arrived at your destination and you like took a breath and you're like, okay, I relax my muscles, you didn't relax your nerves. Your brain's still holding that. Your brain still made that connection that this is a scary thing and I need to tense up, and your nerves are still clenched there. You didn't take the time to fully come down to that rest and digest state of our nervous system. So even if part of your body, the active parts, the parts that you are in tune with, relaxed, those pieces didn't. And it's going to impact you in one way or
Right.
another. So unless we learn what that fully feels like to our entire system to shift into rest and digest, parts of our body are still going to stay. They're still going to have that nerve tension. They're not going to release because we have whatever it's that if that's I want to say micro trauma, and I hate that word, but you have something that, whether that's just someone reinforcing a negative energy continually around you, or driving the belt
Yeah.
line, and whatever that thing that happens regularly, that signals in your brain that this is not a safe thing, this isn't a safe thing, and it continually happens. So I have to stay
Continually running from the tiger.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I have to stay tensed in this certain areas of my body. So even if I'm sleeping, even if I'm meditating, whatever, until you feel into your body, your entire system, tap into where that is happening in your brain so that you can mirror that in your entire system, you're probably going to still have some physical symptoms.
Right. My teacher through Ayurveda, for my schooling through Ayurveda, she always talks about like we were just kind of talking about this earlier, but the four bodies, right?
Yeah.
The energetic body, the mental body, the physical body, and the bliss body, right? And so she says that most of us live in the mental body, right? And we're in like that chronic state of stress all the time. And it's very uncomfortable to get into the body for most people. Most people don't even know how to do it unless they are in pain.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, my shoulder hurts, my knee hurts, my hip hurts, etc. But we don't tend to go into the body. So is that what you do, like in a session? Do you help people get into their body? Is that what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with the mind body connection. That's exactly what it is. I do one-on-one stuff. I also do some group work. It's a bit different. Obviously you're tailoring to the collective energy, or which is more about guiding. And then when I'm in individual sessions, I do a lot of different things as far as the modalities that I use for somatics. And it depends upon, what the symptoms are. It depends upon also the person, what they're resistant to or not. Frequency is huge. It's one of my favorites. I use tuning forks. I use sound bowls. But also I do acupressure massage with probably every single one of my individual clients, if not ongoingly, at least one or two times, because getting my hands on someone's nerves where I can feel that. And I always kind of giggle when I am talking, in the beginning, I'm talking about like, where do you feel into your body? Where do you feel your somatic symptoms? And a lot of people have like shortness of breath or tension. We get very aware of that tension in our shoulders and neck
I was
and
just thinking
jaw,
that you were
right?
like, where do you feel? I'm like, I can instantly feel
Right.
my
I'm like,
neck,
oh
my
yeah,
neck.
no, it's right here. And then I always try to cue down through like symptoms that it could be this little twitch at the bottom of your foot. And I also say that because I had that for a long time. And I was frustrated. I could never find where it was. Like, why? I feel it and it hurts, but I can't find it when I push on it. There's a nerve. I know now. But as soon as I start doing acupressure massage, well, people like, they'll say, oh, my legs are fine. My feet are fine. There's nothing down here. It's all up here.
Trust me.
Yeah. And then as soon as I get hands on, I start like doing this massage, the acupressure, I feel it. And instantly we both, like, I can feel that person go, yep, there, yep. And I go, I feel it. I feel there's a whole little thing right here. Here we are. We definitely disconnect from our lower body. Like, these legs are just for walking, for, running,
Right.
whatever exercise. Like, I'm not connected with the soles of my feet. Yeah, you are. And then, so I see that ongoingly working with clients over time, and then they'll start coming back and they'll be like, so I noticed I have this like pain in my ankle or this thing. And then they start to feel what that mind body connection actually feels like, because we do, like you said, you only notice it when it's actual pain, but we don't connect. Like right now, I can absolutely feel my nerves and the sides of my shins have been tense for the last few days, and I haven't been doing my own this week. But yeah, I'm like, that's definitely going to be something I do later, that my shins feel that those nerves are tight. I feel it.
And to be clear, it's not just for pain, right? Like, so your somatic sessions are not just for pain. Like, I know for a fact that anxiety is a huge epidemic right now. Like, it's a problem, right? And anxiety stems from thinking too much, right? We're in our head too much. We're in that mental body way, way, way too much. And most of us, we're on our phones all the time. It's constantly, like, it's literally attached to our hand. And we're on a screen. We are on our
our watch.
Exactly, all the things, and it's constantly like making us be in our mental body, right? And so, how doing somatic work can be a really, really, really good thing for depression, for anxiety, for these mental health conditions that we tend to have a really big problem with in this country and kind of all over the world right now. But just wanted to put a point on that too. It's not just for pain.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's both. It's the mind body, the whole thing. Yeah, I have clients that come in with either or. They come in with, why do I have anxiety, or why do I have depression, or why do I have this and that? So sometimes it is a mental phenomenon that they come in with, or sometimes it is a physical symptoms thing. So yeah, but it's that whole entire experience, because we are, like you said, the subtle body is.
Yeah.
In yoga, I think it's the five, isn't it? It's the bliss body, physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental. Subtle bodies. Yeah, but it's all of them. We are whole people, like the holistic thing. And we're walking around in these bodies and completely disconnected from what that feels like. And so there's this, I mean, I feel like most people, unless they're doing regular practices, live most of their life in fight and flight. That becomes baseline, because whether that's traumas from our childhood or wherever, or I keep saying micro traumas, and I need to find a different word for that, but it's those little things. I've had clients that say, but I didn't have a traumatic childhood. Tell them it could be
The belt line. It could be.
yeah, right,
It could be any of those
exactly.
things.
Or even just like having a parent or other trusted adult, or even kids say something when you like, being a kid and you're like excited to show someone your artwork and they don't respond the way that you want to. Those little things, those add up to your system to show I'm not
100%.
safe in my body,
Yeah.
because you're like, I felt excited and that wasn't reciprocated. Okay, my body isn't safe. I felt like that everyone should be excited about this. And then we just slowly like disconnect from our bodies. Like, I felt this and it wasn't reciprocated. Obviously I'm the problem, all these things happening, not quite as a full, thought, but that's what our system reads and sees that. And our system just starts taking it on. So we have this whole collective of people that are living as fight or flight is baseline. This is where I'm safe, because the second that I fully rest, or I'm fully vulnerable in that state where everything is relaxed, that feels like the threat. That's where I'm not safe. That's where I'm exposed. That's where someone's going to tell me that I'm wrong or that I'm this, and that's going to impact my wound. but we need to be able to rock in and out completely between the two, even if that's just for moments of fully coming down in a meditative practice. But I also find that I find a lot of people that have a deep meditative practice. I'm great at meditating. That might be a mind meditation. Are you interweaving the whole experience? Where's your body through
Right.
this? Like, you're not just abandoning your body and going into the spiritual level. Everything's coming into a full meditation is different, I think, than what most people think it is. Like,
Yeah.
I shut my mind off for a little bit. Did it?
Yeah.
Did you though?
Yeah. Did you though? But like 100%, like putting all of these bodies into alignment. And that's how, like, that's holistic health right there. You know, just being able to work on all of the bodies and putting them all into this sacred alignment. My husband likes to say, which he'll like this because he always tells me to tell people this, and I think it's a great analogy. Like, we are born like this is not from him, but we're all born this like perfect, like we, this prakriti, like we have this beautiful energy when we are babies, when we're first born, and then we're given all these things like a name and a pink blanket and a blue blanket
A
and
social security number.
social security number, all this stuff. And he calls it like, you're getting a sticky note. You're getting a sticky note for everything that someone has told you or has said to you, or has, you thought had this beautiful artwork when you were a child and it wasn't so beautiful for somebody else. And oh, I'm not good at art. Here's another sticky note. And so you're covered with all of these sticky notes. And, our job, and I think part of our purpose in this life, is to remove these sticky notes and remember who you are and put yourself back into alignment and put yourself back into this sacred space, mental space, mind, body, spiritual, emotional, all the stuff. And it's really, really good work. So how would somebody come, like, how do they book an appointment with you? How long is the session?
Yeah.
And where are you located?
So I am currently out of Sauk. Actually, it's technically Prairie Side, Sauk Prairie. Anyway, I'm out of the Prairie Fire Yoga Studio right now, and those are my individual sessions. But I do workshops at various places. I'm branching out further across Sauk County, so yeah, keep an eye out for that. But my individual sessions, I have an office space inside that yoga studio. And I mean, my website is satnamgrounding.com, and I'm on all of the social medias. No, it's just Instagram and Facebook, which is funny. I feel like that's a lot of social
I
medias.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Sometimes I wish I didn't have them at all, but
So
that's just
many,
the way
but
that
here we
life
are.
is.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so you can reach me on those. I recommend a 90-minute intro session, just because there's a lot of talking. But I try to get one actual somatic experience in that first session to kind of get a feel for what that is. I also do my free consult, so that's definitely a thing. Of course, we want to see if we're a good fit for each other,
Right.
or if there's a different modality or a different approach that would work better for somebody. And after that, I recommend a package, because that ties you to it. But I also know that some people are like, well, I'm not still, it's a skeptical thing. So I do some individual sessions, either 60-minute or 90-minute.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's wonderful. And so, and also, if you are looking to seek some guidance from Morgan, you can also apply for a grant through the Tin Man and let us know, like, hey, I really want to do some somatic work. I really want to see if I can get a grant to go towards a service with Morgan. So, and that's a potential possibility for people as well. Is there anything that you'd like to leave with our listeners today about just holistic health in general?
Yeah. I think that, and this is a big piece that I use. I'm also a yoga instructor, like, at multiple studios, but I do this a lot in my classes. Just trying even for moments of feeling into your body, feeling what your body is telling you, because we all have this. We are, like you said, when you're born, you're this divine thing. We're born with this amazing system, this, this body that has it all. Our nervous system, it just baffles me how fantastic it is. It does all of the things that pain, receptor in your foot and all the connections that it fires in your brain. Your body is made for this. Your body knows how to heal itself completely. And so, but until you can regulate your nervous system, until you, and it sounds easy, just regulate your nervous system. It's not that easy. But until you know what safety actually feels like everywhere, until you're fully in that experience, you're going to keep referring back to fight or flight every time and still keep causing some detriment, I think. So just taking those moments where you tie in, cue through, like, how do I feel in my feet? Close your eyes, visualize your feet. Go up through your entire body and sit with each part, even if it's just for a moment, 4 minutes as you sit on a park bench and wait for somebody, or in your car, or whatever that is. You can take those micro moments, but take them routinely and feel into what your body is telling you. What does this sensation in my thumb need me to know?
I always forget I'm doing like an interview, right? Or like this podcast. I'm just listening, like, tell me more. Oh, wait, I have to ask questions. I was like,
What am I
keep
feeling
going.
with that?
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. Hold on a second. I was feeling it. I was like, wait a second. I have to talk. So if I mean, I want to talk to you all day long, but I guess I better go.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you so much.
Yeah,
So much for taking the time to drive out here, do the podcast with us and talk to us and, just explain what you do and give us a little glimpse of your life and your story and yeah, follow her on social media. Go to her website. She is a phenomenal human. Her energy is incredible. You will not be disappointed working with Morgan. So check her out, girl. She's amazing. She's so good. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah. We should do it again sometime.
Let's do it again sometime.